He believed in a God who would raise the dead and call things which are not as though they exist. Romans 4 verse 17. So God can proudly say, I'm the God of Abraham. He is the provider to Abraham. He is the provision. He is the one who gave power to his dead body, which could no longer reproduce seed. And that seed hit a dead womb, and the dead womb came to life, and bang, here came Isaac. So God is justified, God is proud when he says, I'm the God of Abraham, because Abraham is a role model. But he also can proudly say, I'm the God of Isaac, because without God there was never to be Isaac. Without God, Abraham's body being dead, Sarah's womb being already dead and gone, and also being barren, there is no way a child could come. But God said in the 18th chapter of Genesis, by this time next year, Abraham, I'll visit you again, and Sarah, your wife, who have a child, and you call him Isaac. So God visited Abraham and Sarah and gave life to two dead bodies, and the dead bodies gave birth to a child. So without God, there is no Isaac. Isaac is the testimony. Isaac is the evidence of things hoped for. Isaac is an example, an evidence, the affidavit of faith and God's faithfulness. So God can say, I'm the God of Isaac, because without me, there was never going to be an Isaac. But how then could God say, I am the God of Jacob? This is what puzzles me. Moses is tendering his father-in-law's sheep in Midian. He sees a burning bush. He goes up, and the voice of God said, take off your shoes, for the place you are on is holy ground. He removed his shoes, and God said, I am the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, and the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. Now, why is he calling himself God of Jacob? Doesn't it confuse you? In Genesis 32, Jacob, he has a name change. And the name change is, what is your name? My name is Jacob. My name is a crook. And the angel said, you have another name. It's called Israel. God's prince, God's firstborn, God's man to produce the nation. So Israel is the best part of Jacob, and Jacob is the worst part of Israel. But why then would God, who gave Jacob a name change, continue to say, I'm the God of Abraham, and the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob? Why wouldn't he change the terminology and say, I'm the God of Israel? Even when the Lord came, remember in the book of Matthew 22, from verse 22 to verse 31, he again reiterates and said, God said, I am the God of Abraham, I'm the God of Isaac, I'm the God of Jacob. God is not a God of the dead, but of the living. Why would Jesus come again and say, I'm the God of Jacob? It puzzles me, because Jacob is an embarrassment to the church. Jacob is something that even the Islams would not understand. This man is a mastermind. This man is a thief, he's a con artist. This man is a pyramid schemer. This man is a person who can wipe you clean and call it God's blessing. He is not straight in anything that he does. His brother is hungry, and for a bowl of soup he's bargaining his brother's position of a firstborn in the family. This man is a crook. He said to his father, for sure I am Esau. This man is a crook. He's always running. He is with Laban, and in chapter 31 of Genesis, the Bible says he packed up his bags, took his belongings in the early hours of the morning when it was still dark, and he ran away from Laban. It took Laban 3 days to realize that Jacob had fled away. He was not straight. After 20 years with the father-in-law, you don't even give him the bidding to give farewell to his daughters, to send off his grandchildren with a befitting send-off. This man is not straight. He is always up for something that's not good, is not straight. He blocks an angel and he wrestles with it all night and forces it to give him a blessing. That's Jacob for you. And yet God does not say, I'm the God of Israel. He says, I'm the God of Jacob. So Abraham is the provision. God sensed faith, smelt faith, and says, here is my provision. Isaac is the process of what he had been provided by God that was going to bring out a nation. But Jacob is the product. So, Pastor, how on earth would you say Jacob is a product, given the background of what we've just said? He is the product because God does not even flinch to start calling him the God of Israel. Because he wants the church to know that everybody has got a chance. He wants every church member, child of God, even a heathen, to know that he is a God of purity, he's a God of holiness, but you still have a chance. Because if I can be the God of Jacob, I can be the God of anyone. If I can call Jacob a patriarch, a foundational patriarch who is going to transfer the blessing to the 12 boys who produce 12 tribes, surely everybody has a chance. Sister, brother, you stand a chance. Today, I just want you to kneel down and say, God, forgive me for any misdemeanor that I have committed before, and give me a new heart and the power to change and do right. Because if you can be a God of Jacob, you can be anybody's God. There is a reason why he was the God of Jacob. The book tells us in Exodus 32 that Moses went up to get the 10 commandments and the laws. And as Moses is downloading the laws for 40 days and the constitution, which are the 10 bylaws, the 10 commandments, Aaron on the foot of the mountain is busy making a golden calf and calling it God. But I want you to check this out. In Leviticus chapter 22, God says to Moses, go and take Aaron, anoint him to be the priest over my people. The first Israelite to make an idol and call it God becomes the first high priest of God's people, because God is the God of Jacob. If I can identify myself with Jacob, even Aaron has a chance. Because if God was going to choose a pure priest, the priesthood office will not be functional, because a priest is supposed to intercede for the nation, to intercede for the church, to be a bridge between God and his people. A priest is not supposed to go before God and condemn the people he's representing. A priest is not supposed to go before the Lord and accuse the people he's representing. A priest goes before God to cry for mercy, grace, and forgiveness on behalf of God's people. So, Aaron, you are the first idol maker. And your children and their children and their children will produce the priests and the high priest. So, because of that, I want your children and all your offsprings, whenever they get into the temple and the holy place, to remember that our great-great-grandparent introduced the greatest sin of all sins, which is idolatry. So we have no place condemning God's people. If you watch judgmental people, sententious people, people who are self-righteous, people who are holier than thou, people who are so accusing pontificators, you will realize that most self-righteous people are people who believe that God chose them because they are good. They don't believe that God chose them because he is good, and he's so good to us to such an extent that his goodness breaks us and say, God, we can't help it but love you back. He didn't love you because you were the best. He loved you because love is a mystery. He loved you because love cannot be explained. Love is unconditional. So he came with unconditional agape love and said, I love you. I know you are an idolater, but I have chosen you to hold the highest office. Look at Peter, Simon. Simon Peter, God is giving you the keys of the kingdom of heaven. You are now the bishop. On you, God will build his church. But look at what Peter does. 3 nights tonight, you deny me 3 times. And 3 times he said, I don't know this man. I've never been with him. Why? So that Peter, who is taking over from Aaron, will never rise up to condemn Paul. Will never rise up to condemn people who are coming as proselytes, like the man in Acts chapter number 10. He will not do that. So Peter is the ideal, because Peter knows he graduated in failure. Paul is the ideal because he murdered, he participated in the murder of Stephen the deacon. He was a persecutor of the church. And I want you to know that if your heart is ready to say, God, I'm stopping 1, 2, 3, 4,